All right, today we're going to talk about sewing lace to Entredeux. So I have my piece of Entredeux here, which is really just a strip of hem stitching that's been done on fabric, and we use this to connect lace to fabric. Sometimes lace to lace, but mainly lace to fabric. And then I have my piece of French lace here, and I am going to sew the two together. I like to use a fine cotton thread. We prefer this Mettler silk finish cotton. It's a 60 weight thread. You just don't want a heavy thread that will show a lot on your finished garment. And then I also like to use a very small needle. We use a 60/8 size needle. And that's, again, if you have a small or a fine thread, you want a smaller needle. And also it will make less holes in your fine fabrics, or smaller holes in your fine fabrics. So those are my tools, and then I'm going to use a foot on our Janome machines. It's called the S foot. It has a little black guide or blade right here that is perfect for keeping your Entredeux and your lace separated but right next to each other. So you can use that guide, and I'll put the Entredeux on one side and the lace on the other, and it just keeps them right down the center of your zigzag as you're sewing. Okay, so to prepare my Entredeux to go to lace, I'm actually going to cut off the fabric on one side, and I'll cut it so there's no fabric left on that side. You can see I cut it right next to the edge of the Entredeux. And there's also a front and a back side to the Entredeux. It's going to be hard to see on here, but when you look at it, because it's very hard to tell. On one side you can kind of see like the knots where it's tied off every once in a while, and it's maybe not as clean looking, the stitch. So you just want to make sure you put it the right side up, although if you don't, no one's going to notice. The lace also has a right and wrong side. On some it's easier to tell than others. This one's actually pretty hard to tell, but you can kind of see it. It's more defined on the front side, and there's some maybe little knots on the back. So you just want to be consistent with which side you put it on. Okay, so my settings on my machine, I'm going to use my regular zigzag. This is the Janome Continental M8, my favorite machine. I'm going to do my width down to a 2, and I'm going to do my length down to a 1.1. You'll have to try it out on your machine. Every machine's a little different. But on this machine, the 1.1 allows me to go, my needle to go into most every hole of the Entredeux. I don't think it's possible to get every single one because it just doesn't always work out that way, but you want to get the setting where you get most of all the holes, and then so your needle will actually swing into the holes of your Entredeux and then into the header of the lace to connect the two. So to get started, I'm going to put my Entredeux on the left side of my foot. I prefer to have my Entredeux on the left side when I'm sewing it together. And then I like to drop my needle into the Entredeux hole just to hold it in place. I missed. So we can get started. It'll hold it there. And then I will put my lace up right next to it on the other side of my black guide on my foot. If you don't have this foot, you'll just use your regular zigzag foot, and you can do the same thing. I just like to have this guide to keep them in the right place. So once I have my lace up right next to it, my needle is in a hole of the Entredeux. I like to give myself a little bit extra on the end so I don't have to start right at the beginning of the lace and Entredeux, and that way it doesn't tend to get pushed down into the needle hole, the opening as easily. All right, so I've got my lace and my Entredeux in place, and I will start sewing. Once you get going and you have your lace lined up on the right place with this foot, you can really go pretty quickly because it just will grab the lace and the Entredeux in the exact place to grab for the needle to get them. Okay, so you'll see here, you can't probably really see, but that's the goal. But I have my lace connected to the Entredeux.